Welcome to a Hero's Welcome podcast, where stories, healing, and culture meet. Every episode, we invite you to listen, reflect, and be curious.
This podcast is a space for mental health therapists where we talk about the real work of healing.
Whether you're a mental health professional, a proud geek, or somewhere in between, you're in the right place.
So let's jump in.
Welcome back, listeners, for our next episode of a Hero's Welcome podcast. I'm your co-host, Maria Cardiego, and I'm joined by my ever feisty co-host.
That's me. That should be my nickname. Liliana Baylon. And we are here with a special guest. Dorothy, how do you want to introduce yourself to our listeners?
Well, I'm Dorothy Derapelian. I am a licensed clinical mental health counselor. I have a private practice in Meredith, New Hampshire. Been at this for 40 years. I can't believe that when I did the math.
Yeah.
Who'd have thought that? Now, my plan was I'll retire when I can't get up off the floor. Well, I kept sitting on the floor and getting up for years and years and years and years. It took a fractured femur for me to say, okay, maybe let me revisit.
And it was a maybe.
Yeah, and I'm still doing it. I'm just not sitting on the floor.
Right. Just slowing you down. It's not stopped you yet.
Yes.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for saying yes to the podcast. Dorothy, what are we talking about today?
I hope we're talking about core attachment therapy, which is a process I put together to help families of adoption and also for families who have children with developmental trauma. I created that process back in the late 90s, early 2000s, and nothing but success with the families that I've used it with. And it's not just for children who've been adopted. It's for children who have had loss and grief during their attachment development years.
Yeah.
And it really helps families get back to that, why I call it core attachment. It helps them get back to that core place where attachment percolates.
Yeah. I love that, right? Attachment
blooms.
bonds. We, especially nowadays, it doesn't matter all the diagnoses that we have, but especially nowadays, how do we come back to that core attachment bond?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is lovely. So tell us about this program that you created.
It is a 2-component process. The first component is the nurtured heart approach. I am advanced trainer in that I went to, it was here in Nashua, New Hampshire, Howard Glasser, who developed nurtured heart approach, was out promoting it through PESI. So I was behind in my CEUs to continue my license.
As
so
we do.
It was back in the day before computers were the big thing to get your CEUs. So I was going through my desk for all the brochures, and here it was right here in my own state. So I went to it just to get my 6.5 hours of CEUs. And as I was sitting there listening to him, I thought, boy, this guy is really onto something. This just makes such sense. So I tried it with one family, tried it with another family, and success after another. So in 2005, I went to Tucson for a week to become an advanced trainer, and have no regrets doing it because it transformed my practice and how I work with children who have intense and challenging behaviors. And then simultaneously, I was working with, I am an adoptive parent too, by the way. I was working with foster and adoptive children, trying to figure out ways to help them heal. And I did a lot of research at the time and looking at what had been out there, and something just wasn't clicking for me. And the more I thought about it, I thought, well, attachment is a developmental process. We just don't come out born attached. Well, yes, we do, but yes, we don't. It has to be nurtured, and all that oxytocin from the mother and vasopressin from the father and all that stuff has to happen. If that doesn't happen, then attachment doesn't fully feel secure. So looking at the fact that attachment is a developmental process, starting in utero, of course, and then continuing on to at least 3 to 4 years, I thought, well, what we do has to be developmental. So I looked at Viola Brody's developmental play therapy. I looked at Theraplay, and I kind of pieced together the good, not the good things, the attachment games.
Yeah.
It's the attachment games because you have to do it in a playful way.
Yeah.
So I tweaked all of that to develop a process that mimicked, the autistic phase of attachment development, the separation phase of attachment development, and the individuation phase of attachment development, so that families of adoption or any family that had an attachment disruption could go back, and I call it going back in time, particularly working with the older kids. We're just going to go back in time.
I love that.
As if. And so we go back in time and we start at that autistic phase where the parent is holding the child in their arms like this. And we just each week introduce the next game and the next game and the next game, so that it's developing and the attachment is getting more and more secure. And what I wasn't thinking at the time, but now that I've had witness to this for many, many families, it helps the parents.
Yeah.
So that's component 2, is the attachment games. So the reason why Nurtured Heart is component 1, for those of us who've worked with children who've been adopted, they are chaotic.
Yeah.
They are so chaotic that Nurtured Heart helps the parents get back in charge of what's going on in the house. So once that happens, then attachment can happen, because you can't start secure attachment if the children and their behaviors are in charge of what's going on in the household.
Yeah.
So putting those two together it's just been such wonderful, wonderful things to see, not only the children blossom, but the parents change and how they feel effective. And when they feel effective, then the love just takes over.
I love that. Well, yeah, it's a very systemic lens, right?
Yes.
And we know play therapy, a lot of play therapy trainings is very child-focused, behavioral focus of the child. And we can start there, but I love that you then pulled out and looked at the system too, because we as therapists, if we're lucky and they show up for 55 minutes a week for 52 weeks or more, parents have them all the time. And so we definitely want to make sure that the parents have the skills and feel like they've got the authority to continue helping their child heal and helping themselves heal. If there's been a disruption in attachment, it does affect everybody in the system.
It does. It does. And some families get to a certain place where they can't do it because that part of them was not healed. So that's why it's important to do a good developmental history of the parent before we start this, because if their pain is going to percolate, I suggest they go to their therapist or a therapist first to take care of that, so that we can successfully do this for their child. So I'm glad you brought that up, Maria.
And I was even thinking for all of you who are there, so this is like the evolution even of our field. We started with, right? I was thinking in the play therapy field, I was thinking of Liliana Jill, who introduced family play therapy. I was thinking of even also like Theraplay. The idea is we don't just work with the child, we work with the system. So I love what you're doing. I love also like EFFT when they're talking about, no, we work with the system, we work with dyads, which is exactly what you're naming. But I think for all of you who are out there, when you hear children in charge of the house, I'm assuming we're talking about that the child is so dysregulated. The attachment bond has been broken. So because of the dysregulation, it feels like they're the drivers of the home. Like they get to dictate what happens. So a lot of times when you see this client or this family as a client coming in, they are just focusing on the child's behavior. It's not, they don't have access to the frontal cortex to say, our attachment bond is suffering. I cannot see this child as a child who is in need. And I do not see myself, I love that you use the word effective, competent to know what to do here. So can you help us? So it's a beautiful structure that you're naming, adding from all these models in order to like, this is what I like from these pieces.
Yeah.
And let me put it together in order to help the families that I serve. So that was really nice. And I love your phrase, go back in time. Always, right? Is as an core attachment, when you ask a family, can we go back in time?
Mm-hmm.
A time when.
Mhm.
And it's so easy for our brain to look for that Inside Out movie. Thank you. When we go for that core memory of
That's right.
when we like each other, the last time that I saw you as a child, the last time that I saw myself as loving and competent versus in this moment that the whole system is suffering.
Yeah.
The whole system cannot see themselves, feel themselves, and therefore we're just lost. The chaos is taking over. So such a beautiful description
Yeah.
of what you do.
I love it because I do think there's lots of models out there. There's lots of theories out there. And Liliana, you and I have had conversations, I think maybe with Rose, about how attachment is really the core to a lot of the diagnoses of the problematic behaviors. Like if we can go back to that core attachment and how maybe it was ruptured or hurt in some way, I think that's a beautiful lens. And it's just such a compassionate lens when parents come in and they're like had it up to here with the behaviors. The schools haven't had it up to here with the behaviors, right? There's just this frustration and tenseness, and to come in with just such a gentle, let's look at the attachment piece, just feels so heartwarming.
Yeah.
And that's why I put nurtured heart in the process.
Yeah.
Because what the nurtured heart approach helps us do is focus on what's going right.
Yeah.
And that's where we put our emotional energy. And as we talk about what's going right, we say, well, what does that say about who you are?
Yeah.
So that just changes the flow of what's being focused on. Instead of focusing on the bad stuff, we focus on what's good. And what does that say about who you are? Just that, what does that say about who you are really builds up what we call inner wealth, not only in the children, but in the parents, to be able to see that in their children. And it just brings down the temperature of the anger and the intensity.
Yeah.
So once the parents got that dynamic, okay, I'm going to focus on what my child is doing well. Then we start the attachment games, because if we start the attachment games, well, they are all up in arms and fueling what's going wrong. We don't get it.
It's not going to be integrated.
I don't want to sit on your lap when you're yelling at me.
Or, right, like I cannot trust to sit on your lap.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's an important lens too, that a lot of the behaviors come from an insecure, an anxious, a disrupted attachment, rather than they're just behaving that way to make their parents crazy, to get out of doing whatever they're supposed to. And being able to pause and go, okay, what is it that they're needing in my attachment to them that is making them feel like they're missing out, or they're not secure, or they're not safe in this moment. And I know that you shared that you've really started working with adoption and children in foster care, and it is expanded to those with just developmental disruptions in their attachments, because I mean, there's so much that can happen in utero, in the birthing process, that can disrupt that attachment, even when the parents have the best of intentions and are fully present. And I love that you've seen that and kind of expanded the lens for that.
Yeah, life does get in the way, and it's not the parents' fault. So once I explain that to them, they're all in. And when they see what they missed, they are crying all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think it's so important that you share, like, it's not their fault.
Yes.
Because I think there's a lot of blame that gets then internalized. And if that's not worked on or even acknowledged, right, that helps fuel the constant focus on behaviors, internal shame, which then gets, put on the kids because they don't, if you're not aware of it and you're not working on it, then it spills out of you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we know we usually get angry at those that make us feel incompetent, or we have a lot of grief. or sadness about it. So we just get angry at it as a way of preserving ourselves. So this has been a wonderful process to help families.
Yeah.
The other component there,
right?
Yeah.
Excuse me?
To humanize families,
Yes.
to humanize the child, to humanize the adopted parent or caretaker, whoever you're working with. But the idea, as I'm hearing you, was like, oh, you're humanizing each milestone. You're humanizing each time that we question, who am I and who am I in relationship with you? And how do we go back to, as I'm interpreting these behaviors as something that is maladapted, when in reality it's a cry for help. I got stuck here, or I need help here, or, whatever, or like we were talking right before we start recording, which is the grief process of adoption. I love a lot of adoptions. There's not enough, even when you go, for all of you who are out there, any parent who has adopted a child, they have to go through classes. They have to go to training to go through the adoption. They have to go through intakes with social workers or whoever.
It's a very invasive process. I also am an adoptive parent. I have never been so thoroughly interrogated in my life and during that process.
So for all of you who are listening out there, we have two experts here who will tell you it's not for the faint of heart. Because it's very invasive, the questions and the interviews that they do to make sure that you are of good character to trust you with this child.
Yes. Even
when you're adopting this child, you don't always have accurate information about the child or the family origin of the child, or if anything, or any medical background, or like we can keep adding these layers, these stressors for. But when the parent is in the process of what they're thinking is the love that they want to share, the family that they want to form, right? So there is this attachment, like, can I share this love with you? Can I share all of me with you? And in that, there's a lot of grief for the child of I was not good enough or not wanted, or whatever other comes along. And then the projections of the fantasy of, once I get this child, everything is going to work out.
Yeah.
And that's never the case. It's not like that.
No.
And we have two people here who can testify to that. So I can see, Dorothy, why, as you were seeking, like, what am I noticing? What parts will be working for the population that I work with? Can I borrow this? So you're borrowing all these puzzle pieces and then putting this together in order to package it in a way that you're humanizing the whole system.
Yeah.
And giving them a chance of a do-over. I love that term from tennis. Can we go try this in this moment there with regulated, that we are with a professional who's facilitating these activities in order for us to have a do-over and build trust, so that our felt sense has this experiential piece, so that when we go back home, we can continue trusting what we practice and we can continue doing here. In a beautiful world, that will work automatically. They keep coming to therapy because we have additional stressors that we have not named.
Well, I think that's lovely. And I know, Dorothy, there's another component that you want to share with us. But I want to say what I'm hearing from you also is the message of it's never too late.
Never.
It's never too late to do this work, to go back and to not fix, but heal those core attachment disruptions.
Absolutely. And it's possible. The outstanding thing to me, though, is with children particularly children who have been adopted, where their birth family, they didn't know how to attach securely because they had not a caregiver who was able to facilitate that. So they don't know what to do. That's why they act out. I know with my daughter, she was 6 when I adopted her from a Russian orphanage. So we had no common language. I'm Armenian, so I wanted to adopt an Armenian child. So we looked alike, and we do. So that helped her a lot. But she was relinquished at birth. So she had no clue what a mother is and what a mother is supposed to do. So the only way she can keep that, as you said, Liliana, that felt sense of connection was to be crazy because I had to pay attention to her.
Yeah.
So that is what I loved about Nurtured Heart and why I brought it on board is it helps change that dynamic faster so that we can do more appropriate, let me take care of you things.
Yeah, I love that.
And then the other part is, as I said, it's a progressive process. After the games are done, it doesn't take the full 45 to 57 minutes, depending on what code you're using, is then we go into the play therapy room, which is right back here. And then I stay here with the door open and I let the parent and child go play. And that is where, as you probably have guessed, that's where the trauma is going to come up.
Yeah.
And then I let the parent do what she or he needs to do. And if there's something else I feel the parent needs to do, I'll go in and just whisper, why don't you try this?
Yeah.
And then there was once, it was a mother and daughter. She adopted her girl from the foster care system when the girl was 2.
Mm.
So when they were in the play therapy room, nothing really was happening other than, typical play.
Yeah.
I'm on the main street here. Police went up and down the street. It was like, you could tell there was a big emergency. Yeah. She leapt into her mother's arms and just nestled right in her. That's exactly what she's supposed to do. Not run in the corner.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
what a magical...
I didn't have to coach that because we were doing the attachment games and she was starting to feel that this is what safety feels like. And when she felt threatened, because she was raised in the drug house, so that made perfect sense, that's what she did. So that's the beauty of core attachment therapy. It teaches the child, what am I supposed to do now in a safe relationship? Yeah. I go to my parents.
I love that. Well, and the invitation for the family system to play together, right?
Yes.
I think that's another outlier, even in the play therapy field. Play therapy happens with a child and the therapist in the playroom. And I, for one, scream for the rooftops that play is for all ages. It is not just for children. It is healing for all ages. And it is healing for the whole system. And many parents struggle with playing, right? And that brings up their own stuff. And right. And I think that play can be such a great assessment, but it's also just so healing for you to offer them time with a coach, with a witness to play together and to heal together. I think that's just wonderful. And then you get to see the work in action, right? With that example of child felt threatened and immediately turned for safety where previously that wouldn't have been her response, right? I could guess that it would have been an escalation in behaviors, right? Or running away.
Yes.
Right. Would have been another.
I love that you two mention this, right? Which is, unfortunately, we have an association who has pushed that play therapy is only for children 3 to 12. When in reality, we have a whole new generation saying, nay, we're going to play until we want to. And they're the drivers of technology play.
Yeah.
Right. Because they come from a generation that were like, it's safer if you're home versus if you're outside. So start thinking about that generation. It's not that they want to be inside just playing. But I love that you two are proponing not only family play therapy, but how do we allow space? I hate the word allow, but how do we offer space so the families have opportunities to come and have a different experience? Because the reality is that when they're at home, we adults are so good about forgetting about play. And we go into, someone has to cook, someone has to do laundry, someone has to pay bills, someone has to go to work, someone has to we go to task oriented with something that we consume as children, which is when you're a child, you play, when you're an adult, this is what you do. So allowing them to have or offering this experience to go back to that core attachment. It's a beautiful experience, right? It's a beautiful do-over that you are offering. We're talking about adoption, but actually to any family who goes to any milestones where there's disruptions with this, which can we also normalize it, that we all go through it because as parents, we do not approve our child's choices and behavior.
Well, there's so much happening that even with the parents with the best of intentions and all of the resources or whatever, there's still disruptions that happen because of the world that we're living in right now. I think it's just such a beautiful offering to, one, normalize that attachment disruptions happen all of the time.
Yeah.
It's something that we can always go back to and heal. And it's never too late. And I'm wondering, Dorothy, I have an assumption, but I'm wondering in doing some of this initial work, are parents often discovering that they have their own attachment disruptions that they were maybe unaware of until this process and working with you?
I do address that with them just to be sure that, because once we get started, I don't want it to stop because it's going to feel like abandonment all over again. So I am very cautious about when we start.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things. Did you have attachment development disruption?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. How did you take care of that? I haven't. Well, then go.
Go do that and then come back.
Don't do that work first.
Well, I love that because it is so important. I do consultation all the time where, we'll finally get someone who's like, okay, I've invited the parents in to do play with the child so that we can look at it. And then mom loses it and can't keep it together and her own stuff is bubbling up. And it's like, yes,
Mm-hmm.
because play is not superficial. Play is attachment. It's relational, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even solitary play is relational when it's done even in just being viewed by someone else. And I love that you're offering that to the whole family system in such a kind and safe way. Yeah, it's no wonder that it's worked as well as it has for you. I think that that's just such a wonderful offering.
And can we also name, because I'm like, culturally, yes, play is universal, but not all cultures welcome play. Mm-hmm. A lot of cultures have different priorities and values. Yes. Where play actually it's not allowed because we have different priorities, from studying to extracurricular. Like it's not the play that Western lens has. Mm-hmm. So even when you said like, oh, I adopted this child from, and they never, had this experience, I was like, chaos was familiar. Because unfortunately, that was the only template given to this child. So it's not that it's that like I need to create this chaos for my nervous system to know how to operate. Mm-hmm. I do not know how to do any other template, mm-hmm. right? So even when I love that you named that, because when Supervisor Cisna come and said like I invited a blub, I was like, what prep work that we did. Yeah. In order to help the caretaker being able to be in this room. All parents have attachment injuries. We all do. Are they aware of their attachment injuries? Do they have words for it? Is there shame tied to that? Because as adults now, we're like, our parents did the best that they could with what they have. We're really good. We adopted that language. But the reality is that we say that externally, but we may not be aware of what we have repressed, right? So of course it's going to show up in the playroom. Mm-hmm. So anytime that we do attachment work, I love that you're saying like we have to be awareness of the caretaker in regards to what are their attachment injuries, what is it that they want, what is the fantasy that they have either about the child behavior without understanding child development, what are the projections that there are given to this child, and what are the projections that they're adapting from society, family culture. Like it's all these layers that come in place. So there's like a lot of work that you do, Dorothy, that not everyone wants to do. Because if you are a play therapist, we are told that the magic happens in a room between the attachment of a therapist and a child. And it's only for kids who are 3 to 12. and there's no research, because why will we when we've been selling you this idea? But even other models, by the way, because no model or association is perfect. And I've been sharing that because they're also humans who are creating these ideas. But even EFFT, which I have challenged, and they do family therapy, they do it with teenagers and up. So therefore, play therapy, it's not taught in this model, because for them is, can we talk about it?
Yeah.
And I'm like, if we have disorganized attachment, if we have trauma, if we have this, it may not be organized enough to talk about it. So I will tell you what you want to hear, because I come from systems where I learned how to survive. So if I'm not aware of, do I really have the tools to help this family? I don't care how mature the child, I'm so tired of hearing, but the child is so mature. Like, I don't care. Or I don't care if it's an adult. Whatever they got stuck, like, what are the tools that you have in order to come and help them through this lens of attachment, in order for them to understand, where was the injury? What is it that I'm seeking and I have no words? And how can I make meaning of my behaviors and what I'm projecting or doing, because that's the template that I learned. So there's a lot of things that as a community we can learn to work with this population. And I am so happy that you are doing this work and talking about it. So, Dorothy, is that something that you offer consultations, so that therapists who are listening to us, they can go and ask you questions?
That's an excellent segue. I can tell you've done this before.
Maybe.
There is an APT-approved provider. I have developed a certification process for core attachment therapy. And and I also developed a level 1 training for it, because I thought, well, why would anyone be certified in it? They don't know what it is. So that's when I developed level 1 training. And what the level 1 training is a 2-day, 6-hour each day training. The first day is training everybody in the nurtured heart approach, because that's the foundation of how we interact with our children to build that inner wealth. Because when we feel better about who we are, we make better behavioral choices. That is my tagline in nurtured heart approach. Then component 2 is the second day, and I introduce the overall process of the attachment games. Then, if people are interested in that and want to learn more, then I have a certification program. And that is, again, not a 2-day process, though. For those who didn't go through Nurtured Heart and just want to jump right into the certification program, the first day is a virtual training of Nurtured Heart approach. And then the rest of it is self-based modules for each of the games. There are 9 games in the process. So the certification program really is for seasoned therapists, because you need to have a client that has attachment needs. And you're going to actually do the games. You're going to learn the process by using it with a client that you have. And after each week, you do the game. We meet virtually, review what you found in your client. We do some educational work around trauma, around child development, around family development. And then at the end of that, you get a certificate of completion. And if you want to become a certified practitioner, you do the same process with just one more client.
Okay.
So that's it.
Love
That's
that.
it.
The second one is intense, but you're going to leave really knowing core attachment through and through. And then for those of you who are listening, I am offering a discount. Let me see what I have here. $100 off each of the training.
Nice. Do they need to have a code or something for this?
It is, the promo code is I know it's Heroes. It's Heroes 2026.
Love that.
Oh, love it.
So what happens with Heroes 2026 is that you have to use it by a certain date. I put down the end of January, not realizing when this was going to be. So I'll change that. It'll be the end of February. Do you know when it's coming out in February?
The second week of February.
Okay, let's say to the end of March. If you use it by the end of March, then you can register for any of the trainings through 2026.
Dorothy, what a nice gift. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah. And can I just share that, Dorothy, you and I, we met because you attended one of my trainings.
Yes.
And it was just so lovely. And then you caught me a couple of years later and shared the cards that you had created around superpowers and just lovely connection. Yeah, it was just a wonderful, happenstance that we were connected in that way. And so it was just lovely to continue to see your core attachment has just blossomed. Yeah. And I hope in 2026 that it continues to take off for you and that you don't go and break another bone. In 2026 be the year of no broken bones for Dorothy.
Well, you know what? I had a long run. I'm 70 years old and I've never broken a bone. So I said, okay, I'm going to do it big time. I understand the femur is the worst one to break. So there you go.
Well, Dorothy, thank you so much for saying yes and spending some time with us this morning. And your generosity about giving a promo code for our listeners is just above and beyond. And I shouldn't expect nothing less from you. You're just such a wonderful, kind-hearted person.
Oh.
Thank you. And you and I went to the same school.
We did.
Yes.
We did. Yes. I hailed from University of New Hampshire.
Yes, which I found was odd. We were in New Mexico, but I'm still here in New Hampshire. So that's how it started.
Couldn't handle the snow.
So the promo code is Heroes 2026.
Thank you, Dorothy. We will include it. Yeah, we will have it with all your contact information. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having
sharing
me.
Your wisdom.
You two are delightful and so knowledgeable and made this such a comfortable experience.
Oh,
excellent. Thank you, Dorothy. Well, and until next time, listeners, be well.
Thank you for joining us on a Heroes Welcome podcast. We hope you found inspiration, insight, and maybe, just maybe, a little fun along the way.
Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with your fellow healers. Until next time, stay curious, stay playful.